Hello again. This is part 2 of the video lecture on research approaches and designs. In this video, we will specifically discuss research designs. Let's get started. Research design is the specific type of inquiry used within qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods approaches. They offer clear guidance on how to carry out the procedures in a research study. These designs are sometimes referred to as strategies of inquiry, as noted by Denzin and Lincoln, 2011. According to Creswell, 2014, each research approach, quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods, has its own set of research designs that guide how a study is conducted. Under the quantitative approach, the common designs are experimental, non-experimental. For the qualitative approach, Creswell identifies the following designs: narrative research, phenomenology, grounded theory, ethnographies, case study. And in the mixed methods approach, the designs include convergent, explanatory sequential, exploratory sequential. These designs serve as structured strategies of inquiry, helping researchers align their methods with the nature and goals of their study. Let's now proceed to discuss the different quantitative designs. Let's now take a closer look at experimental research, as defined by Johnson and Christensen in 2019. The primary goal of experimental research is to identify cause and effect relationships. This is achieved by deliberately changing one or more variables under controlled conditions, allowing researchers to observe the impact of those changes. In this type of study, the researcher actively manipulates the independent variable. This means introducing an intervention or treatment, and then observes the outcomes on the dependent variable. This manipulation is what sets experimental research apart from other designs. The defining feature of experimental research is this intervention, which helps establish causal links between variables. By controlling for other factors and using structured procedures, researchers can determine whether a specific change truly causes a particular effect. In non-experimental research, the researcher does not manipulate the independent variable or randomly assign participants to groups. Because these elements are absent, the ability to draw strong cause and effect conclusions is limited. However, this does not mean that non-experimental research is less valuable. In fact, when important causal questions need to be addressed and conducting an experiment is not feasible due to ethical, practical, or logistical reasons, research must still be conducted. Non-experimental designs allow researchers to observe and analyze relationships as they naturally occur, providing meaningful insights into real-world situations. Let's now look at a specific type of non-experimental research design called causal comparative research. In this approach, the researcher examines the relationship between one or more categorical independent variables and one or more quantitative dependent variables. Unlike experimental research, there is no manipulation of the independent variable and no random assignment of participants to groups. Typically, causal comparative studies involve comparing the average scores of different groups. For example, comparing males and females or public and private school teachers on a particular dependent variable to see if a relationship exists. Another important type of non-experimental research is correlational research. In this method, the researcher examines the relationship between one or more quantitative independent variables and one or more quantitative dependent variables. Unlike causal comparative research, where the independent variable is categorical, correlational studies involve numerical data for both variables. There is no manipulation involved in correlational research. Instead, the focus is on identifying patterns or associations between variables based on their measured values. For example, a researcher might explore whether there is a relationship between students' study hours and their academic performance. Let's now explore the qualitative research designs, which are used to deeply understand human experiences, social contexts, and the meanings people assign to their lives. According to Creswell, 2014, qualitative designs include narrative research, phenomenology, grounded theory, ethnographies, case study. Narrative research is a qualitative design rooted in the humanities, where the researcher explores individuals' lives by collecting personal stories. These stories often reflect meaningful experiences, turning everyday events into rich sources of insight. Typically, the researcher reorganizes these stories into a chronological narrative, helping to present the participant's life journey in a coherent, and engaging way. But narrative research goes beyond simply retelling events. It often involves a collaborative process, where the final narrative blends the participants' experiences with the researcher's interpretation and perspective. As Reisman, 2008, and Clandinin and Connolly, 2000, emphasize, this design values voice, context, and meaning, making it especially powerful for understanding how individuals make sense of their lives. Phenomenology focuses on exploring and describing individuals' lived experiences related to a specific phenomenon. The goal is to uncover the essence of these experiences, what is common and meaningful among participants who have encountered the same phenomenon. This approach is deeply philosophical, aiming to understand how people perceive and make sense of their experiences. Researchers typically conduct in-depth interviews to gather rich, descriptive data that captures the emotional and cognitive dimensions of those experiences. As Georgi, 2009, and Mastakas, 1994, emphasize, phenomenological research seeks to move from individual accounts to a deeper understanding of the shared essence of a phenomenon, making it a powerful tool for studying human consciousness and meaning. Grounded theory is used when the goal is to develop a broad, abstract theory about a process, action, or interaction based directly on the perspectives and experiences of participants. Unlike other designs that begin with a theoretical framework, grounded theory allows the theory to emerge from the data itself. This approach involves multiple stages of data collection, often through interviews, observations, and documents. As the researcher gathers data, they continuously refine and connect categories of information, gradually building a theory that is deeply rooted in the participants' lived realities. As Charmas, 2006, and Corbin and Strauss, 2007-2015, emphasize, grounded theory is especially valuable when existing theories do not adequately explain a phenomenon, and a new, data-driven understanding is needed. Ethnographic research focuses on examining the shared behaviors, language, and practices of a well-defined cultural group. What makes this design unique is that the researcher immerses themselves in the group's natural environment, often over an extended period of time. Data is typically gathered through direct observation, interviews, and sometimes participation in the group's daily activities. This allows the researcher to gain a deep understanding of the group's social patterns, values, and worldview. Ethnography is especially valuable when the goal is to understand how culture shapes behavior and meaning from an insider's perspective. In case study research, the goal is to conduct an in-depth investigation of a specific case. This case could be a program, event, activity, process, or even one or more individuals. What defines a case study is its clear boundaries, in terms of time, context, and activity. Researchers gather rich, detailed data using multiple methods such as interviews, observations, documents, and artifacts. This data is collected over an extended period, allowing for a comprehensive understanding of the case within its real-life context. As Stake, 1995, and Een, 2009, 2012, 2014, emphasize, case study research is especially valuable when the researcher seeks to explore how and why a phenomenon occurs, and when the boundaries between the phenomenon and its context are not clearly evident. The central idea behind mixed methods is that integrating both types of data can offer deeper insights than using either method alone. It allows researchers to explore complex questions from multiple angles, measuring outcomes while also understanding the context and meaning behind them. According to Cresswell, 2014, the three common mixed methods designs are convergent design, explanatory sequential design, exploratory sequential design. In a convergent mixed methods design, the researcher collects both quantitative and qualitative data simultaneously. These two types of data are gathered independently, but are later merged during the interpretation phase to gain a fuller understanding of the research problem. The strength of this design lies in its ability to provide a comprehensive analysis by integrating numerical trends with rich, descriptive insights. If the findings from the two methods conflict or don't align, the researcher investigates these discrepancies further to explain or resolve them. This design is especially useful when both types of data are equally important and can complement each other in answering the research questions. In this design, The study begins with quantitative data collection and analysis. Once the initial results are obtained, the researcher conducts a follow-up qualitative phase to explore those findings in greater depth. It's called explanatory because the qualitative data helps clarify and expand on the quantitative results. And it's sequential because the two phases occur one after the other, not simultaneously. This design is commonly used in disciplines that emphasize quantitative research, such as education, health sciences, and psychology. However, it can be challenging to implement. Researchers must carefully decide which quantitative results to explore further and manage potential differences in sample sizes and participant characteristics between the two phases. Despite these challenges, explanatory sequential design is a powerful tool for gaining a deeper understanding of statistical findings through the lens of personal experience and context. Let's now explore the exploratory sequential mixed methods design. In this design, the study begins with a qualitative phase, where the researcher gathers and analyzes participants' perspectives to explore a topic in depth. The insights gained from this phase are then used to inform a subsequent quantitative phase. This might involve developing a new instrument tailored to the study population, selecting appropriate tools for the quantitative phase, designing an intervention, or identifying key variables for further investigation. It's called exploratory because the qualitative findings guide the direction of the study, and sequential because the two phases occur one after the other. While this design offers a strong foundation for building contextually relevant quantitative tools, it also presents challenges, such as deciding which qualitative findings to carry forward and selecting suitable samples for both phases. To conclude, we've explored the foundational elements of research approaches and designs, guided by key scholars such as Creswell, Johnson, Christensen, Dinesen, Lincoln, and others. We began by understanding the three main research approaches: quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods, and how each one offers distinct pathways for inquiry. We then examined the specific research designs under each approach, learning how they guide the procedures and structure of a study. Whether you're testing theories, exploring lived experiences, or integrating multiple forms of data, choosing the right approach and design is essential to producing meaningful, credible, and impactful research. As researchers, our goal is not just to collect data, but to generate understanding, inform practice, and contribute to knowledge in a thoughtful and rigorous way. Thank you for joining me in this presentation. I hope it has helped clarify the landscape of research approaches and designs, and inspired you to apply these frameworks in your own scholarly work. Thank you. See you in Part 2, Research Designs.